Good morning, YouTube, and today we have for you a Simorgh deck profile. This is a kind of a fun deck that came out Rising Rank page that has some very budgety options in it. It's based off of tribute summoning monsters and special summoning them from the graveyard. That's it in a nutshell, but we'll explain a little bit more as we go. Starting off, we run a playset of my personal favorite, Simorgh of Darkness. He special summons himself from the graveyard or hand, provided the summoning conditions are met. And if a spell or trap is activated, you contribute a winged beast on the field and negate that and destroy it, which is fantastic all around. Fantastic card and gets your main dark search of the deck. Next, we run his counterpart, 2, Simorgh Lower the Storm. The nice part about this is that whenever a spell or trap is activated, you can spin a card on the field, and if a monster is tributed, you can add them to your hand. Fantastic counterpart to the Simorgh of Darkness. Continuing on with our big birds, we have 1 Dark Simorgh. This is a card that a lot of people are electing not to play in the deck, but this is a card that I played way back in the day, and this with Anti-Spell Fragrance just locks down all of your opponent's back row. Fantastic card, and it's not very difficult to get out into this deck, so I run it at 1 still. Rounding up our chickens, we run a Mist Valley Apex Avian. The nice part about him is he's a lot easier to summon in this deck, and it gives you a blanket negation that your opponent has to play around. Fantastic, and you can recur it as much as you want to. Fantastic card. We run 1 Cock-a-doodle-doo. This is my own spicy little tech in the deck. It's nice because it's a free special summon. It's a winged beast, wind monster, so it allows you to go into some of your extra deck options, as well as gives you some space to be able to use your the rest of your smaller birds in order to go into something more powerful. Plus, it gives you some synchro options, which is pretty nice in this kind of a deck. Moving on to the small birds. Now, all these birds have the same effect in that they can special summon themselves from the graveyard if your opponent controls no spell or traps, which is fantastic. It's kind of like a Paleozoic kind of effect. But they each have their own first effect, which makes them stand out from each other. First, the best one, in my opinion, is Simorgh Bird of Bringing. The nice part about him is he allows you to search for any Simorgh card from your deck to your hand, which is, in this deck, it's fantastic because there's so many different options you can go for. And just all around, fantastic to search anyway. Next, run a playset of Simorgh Bird of Beginning. He allows you an additional normal summon, which allows you to go into some additional link plays, some synchro plays, some fun things you can just do with this deck that this guy utilizes you to do. Next, we run 3 Bird of Calamity. The nice part about him is he kind of just dumps a card from your deck to the graveyard. He's a decent sized beat stick. That's not something you're going to be really going for too much. And a different name for you to bring out. Next, we round up. Most people elect not to play Simorgh, the Bird of Protection, but I like it in the fact that it gives you a different name. You can special summon them from the graveyard, and it allows you to dump a lot of cards in this deck a little bit more freely. I play a lot of cards that just sort of dump very easily, and so if you just dump him, you can bring him back. It's a no-brainer, and so I play it at 2 just so we can have that additional name. Moving on to our spells, we run a playset of the El Baral's The Sacred Lands of Simorgh. I might butcher that pronunciation. This is nice in the fact that it gives you the additional summon of a winged beast monster and allows you to tribute summon for 1 less cost. So your Simorgh Bird of Darkness, your Lord of the Storm, your Mist Valley Apex Avian, this all-around fantastic card, and you want to see as much as possible, so we run the 1 Terraforming to go along with it. Next, we play one of the best cards in the deck, Simorgh of Onslaught. The nice part about Onslaught is that it allows you to search for 2 Simorgh cards of different attributes, which is the reason why you're going to want to play 3 of Darkness and potentially the Dark Simorgh himself. Additionally, it has the effect where you can banish it from the graveyard and lower the cost of a tribute summon by 1, which both Apex Avian and Dark Simorgh do have. So it's an all-around fantastic card that you definitely want to play a playset of. We're on 1 Simorgh Repulsion. This is a card you can elect not to play if you want to. It has the same banishing effect as Onslaught, but it also has the ability to bounce back row, which is pretty nice, and set up your graveyard for some more Simorgh plays. Ooh, that's tough to get off the tongue. So this is a card you can optionally play, especially if you're going for a budget build. You could even elect to run a playset of these rather than some of the other options we run in here. Now, being this does have some budget options, not all budget, this is my sort of answer to extravagance and desires. Right now, yes, it's not the best option, but the thing is that since we play so many of the little birds, it's not too bad to run a playset of hand destruction. The nice part about this is instead of desires and extravagance, you don't have to banish for cost, you don't have to send for cost, and it dumps some of your opponent's hand as well. So they may like that, and so they may not negate it, so it allows you to play your cards a little bit more often. It's kind of, in theory, a good card, and in testing it hasn't been half bad, so let me know what you think about this in here. All around, it hasn't proven bad so far. I only run the one desires because if you only run one, you'll never draw into another copy of itself. Since the baby birds are so reliant on not having any back row, we run the 2 twin twisters. Again, you can bump this up to 3 if you want to take out repulsion, or you can bump these down to 0 and play 3 repulsion. Both are pretty decent options. We run 2 of the Monarch Stormforth. This is a card I'm kind of iffy about. It allows you to have some going second options, which is pretty nice, but it locks you out of your extra deck, which is iffy. Idealistically, if I had Icarus attacks or something like that, or some different kind of things, you could definitely substitute these for hand traps, anything you want to, but I have kind of liked it so far in testing. Moving on to our traps, run a playset of Harpy's Feather Storm. This is a nice card that gives you blanket of monster effect negation for the entire turn. Most of the time you're going to have a Winged Beast on your field, so that's fantastic. You run a Harpy Conductor in your extra deck, so that gives you more options to potentially just utilize it if you have it turn 1, which allows you to have it in your hand, play it from your hand. And if Harpy's Feather Duster ever comes back, you can search it with this card, so that's pretty darn cool. There was an idea in Paleozoics at one point in time to play Imperial Iron Wall. That way your monsters are just sent to the graveyard rather than straight up banished. And since the birds have the same effect as when they leave the field after they're special summoned back, this gives you an additional protection where you can just bring them back and back and back. So Imperial Iron Wall is not bad in general, especially with Thunder Dragons and other, like many decks banish, surprisingly. And so this isn't a half bad card to main deck, so I run it at 2. And rounding up our main deck and our traps, we run 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance. Yes, this is a card that you may just want to side because not everyone plays so much heavy spell lineups, but I've liked it, especially since I run the Dark Simorgh in the main deck. If you just see it, it's automatic, like win against pendulums, fantastic all-around card, so I play it in this deck at 2, because 3, you see it too much, 1, you won't see it at all, so I like it at the 2. Moving on to our extra deck. This can be a conglomerate of anything you want it to be, but most people have agreed that Almirage, at least 1. If you play Extravagance, you want to run 3. He gives you additional protection. 2 of the baby birds are able to bring him out. Fantastic card all around, just a Link 1 play you can go straight into. Link Karibo, because we do have a single 1-star monster in here. 2 Conductor, because I like the fact where you can like just straight up go into Conductor if you want to, and it gives you another option for setting up your Harpy's Feather Storm if you want to later on. We run the High Speedroid Rubber Band Shooter. Fantastic name, by the way. Just gives you some additional playing ability. Great fly to recur your graveyard. The new Win Charmer. Fantastic addition to the deck. Lets you recur things from your opponent's graveyard if they have the option to. Definitely nothing to argue against. Nightmare Cerberus and Phoenix for just straight up spot removal. And we run 1 of the Doom Eagle. I won't even try to pronounce his first name because he can give you some nice little niche plays, and we have the room in the extra deck. Moving on to our synchro, since we do run the Cockadoodle-Doo, we run 1 Allied Justice Cataster, 1 of the Thug, I always mispronounce his name, just going some burn damage for games potentially, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Crimson Blader, like Thunder Dragons and stuff like that, and a Sign Frame Lord. You can play these if you want to as synchro options. Obviously, there are some things where you can argue it's a lot better. You could run some more links in here. You can run some Xyz. Rank 8s are definitely possibilities, but I like not to because of the Simorghs being better on the field as themselves than many rank 8s could be. So this is just some options with the Cockadoodle-Doo niche in the deck. And that's going to wrap up my Simorgh deck profile. Again, this is really a fun sort of budgety deck. Obviously, there are some cards in this build that are more budgety than others, but there are plenty of builds online that can utilize even more budget or less budget depending on what you're going on. all around fun, fantastic deck. There are definitely better options out there, but this is really something you can use that will throw your opponent for a loop, something new, and you can pick up relatively easy. I went to a sneak peek and traded cards, and before I realized that I accidentally had a Simorgh deck, so I decided to put it together, and I've had a lot of fun testing it and playing with it. Brings back a nice old card, which is something fun that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been doing. Let me know if you have any other ideas. I know there are plenty of other options we could potentially do. Just the ability of having the recurable free graveyard summons with the birds allows for a lot of things. Like I know Nephthys, I've seen a build of that. That's coming in kind of fun. You could probably argue Black Wings or something like that. Anyway, there are dozens of options out there, and I think this deck hasn't seen its full potential yet. So let me know what builds you come up with and what you can take from this. Thanks, and have a great